a dream. I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. 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 I'm coming clutch, no stick shift. OZone.
Hello, everybody. Live from Koreatown, it's the OZone. I'm your host, Omar Miller. We are back with you, with your man coming off the injured reserve. He's starting a walking program now. Mm-hmm. He's walking at 100 feet. The Icons, also known as Terry Miller. How is the injury report going?
2 more weeks.
That's what they said?
2 more.
2 more weeks till what?
Till I can take off the boot.
So now is this is straight boot? This is soft boot? What are we dealing with over here?
This is a gel cast that I'm not actually supposed to be wearing right now. I'm supposed to be in the boot.
Gel cast is in the house.
I sacrificed. I put it all on the line for the OZone.
He laid it all. He left it all out on the field.
It all out on the mic.
He left it all out on the mic to not catch MRSA.
To spiggity spit it.
So he could spit it. And you know what? We got a lot to cover today. First things first, we want to keep talking about these Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do, because we have a caller.
Omar.
It's this Troy OG live on the OZone?
It's Troy OG.
What it do, baby?
And I'm rolling with my sidekick, Mrs. G.
Uh-oh.
Wait a second. Is that contrary Terry?
This is he.
Terry the
I am here.
He's coming off the IR.
I am the World Series, the Houston Astros 2017 World Championship Terry that was in the Houston on the front page.
Hey, Terry, that was a great call on those Astros, bud.
It was, right?
Way to pick them.
I was dead on.
I was sitting in 2017 with Omar behind the Astros dugout, and I remember seeing Carlos Correa and Bregman on the on-deck circle, and someone was in the hole, and they were talking about the pitches that were being thrown. And I remember saying, damn, these dudes communicate so well. Like, they're really breaking down someone's mechanics, and I forget who was pitching, and talking about agreeing that, oh yeah, you saw that pitch. They were identifying what it was.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I was like, damn, these dudes are just brazen. It's really disappointing. It's disappointing being a Dodger fan because I spent 4 months eating my feelings and put on about 10 pounds.
How did they taste?
But, as a red-blooded American, born and raised in the city of Angels, who is married to a woman from Brooklyn, I really feel like my family was robbed the opportunity to see a World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Oh, that was my question. Who got cheated worse, the Dodgers or the Dodgers or the Yankees?
Neither.
And
I don't think it's comparable. I mean,
that was in the World Series.
Let me go back to what you're talking about on deck. The really nice professional hitters pay attention on deck, and they pass notes and talk to each other.
No doubt.
But the Dodgers, when we sit next to the Dodgers on deck circle, those dudes are in the stands. They're not. You only get.
Will you stop it? Will you stop it?
Players up there.
Will you stop it?
Terry, Terry.
Stop it.
Terry, you are that brother who is the Bill Cosby apologist.
I'm not apologizing.
What are you talking about?
I'm not apologizing. I really don't feel like
the Dodgers put up more runs than almost anyone in the division. So if they want to play loose, that's all good.
What made them throw the ball around Game 7? That's what I want to know.
Here's what the worst problem is.
Them throwing the ball around in Game 7?
No, the Houston Astros are like the LAPD. They love to.
That's for people from Los Angeles, though. That's a very disparaging comparison.
That's pretty bad.
They love to frame a guilty person. They had all the talent in the world to win the World Series. They just couldn't help themselves because they are just dirty.
They're too tempted. They could take it. I don't believe that. I believe that they were the better team. I believe that the Dodgers actually don't play the game the right way. That's why they can't be rewarded with a dub. You got to play the game the right way, regardless. They got Mookie Betts this year, and I love Mookie Betts, but I still don't believe that the Dodgers are going to win.
This fool is acting like the Dodgers didn't make it to the World Series.
Hey, this is exactly how he acts.
How did the Dodgers? What made the Dodgers throw the ball around?
Harry.
That's what I want to know. Defense wins. The Dodgers don't play good defense. You have outfielders that are infielders. You have infielders that are outfielders. You got catchers.
Perry, Altuve could be chewing on your knee, and you'd be like, "No, he isn't." I mean, what are you talking about?
You know, Terry is dealing with an injury right now. He's got 3 fractures in his foot, and this could be payback from his Astros support. We don't know. The jury's still out. Meanwhile, he's giving you this contrarian report while wearing a Dodgers shirt and Dodgers hat, just so you know.
Yeah, because they got Mookie. Mookie is the best player. Mookie is the best player in baseball, and I always support Mookie.
They had that at Dress for Less.
Who just fed you that line? Somebody fed you that line. I heard. He fed you that line.
You're right. With your little Hootie and the Blowfish hat. I know you're on the radio, so y'all can't tell, but Terry wears hats that look like he keeps them in his pocket.
Hey, and that's how you keep it 100. I don't want to be fashionable. I want to represent. I want to be real.
Fool,
like it's been.
You are such a hater. You're like, you know what? I don't know about the Dodgers. You know, the Dodgers have been dominant. You do not win your division so many years in a row.
Well, why didn't they beat the Nationals if they're so dominant?
Now listen. That's not to say, obviously, that they don't have. There's some problems going on, no doubt.
But they just addressed some of those problems. Let's talk about where the Dodgers are right now. When you introduce Mookie Betts, first and foremost, you never get worse by getting the best player in baseball. And so,
no doubt.
And everybody.
By the way, for no offense to Verdugo, but for nothing.
Yeah, because Alex Verdugo is not a proven product.
He's nice.
He's got a great future, but Mookie Betts is the president.
He's there now.
He's the president.
He's already there. And you know what? And I don't think that it's going to be hard to keep Mookie in L.A., in all honesty.
Come on.
Pay him.
How can you not?
How can you not want to play in the La-La?
You don't want to play in L.A., you got a problem.
You just a mental problem going on.
That's a big check to write, but
it's a big check. That's a check. They got it, and they have it.
You got to get rid of some of the bums.
Here's my conspiracy theory. The McCourts, when they got subpoenaed and they had to turn over everything to the
divorce court,
they had a Russian psychic on payroll that they were giving $300,000 a year to in Boston, whose job was to send positive energy towards the Dodgers. So I think that to spite us, they asked the Russian clairvoyant to send bad juju at the Dodgers. So if
Mookie Betts is bad juju, I'll take it. Are you crazy?
No, it's the past couple. No, it's going to turn around now. By the way, here's the other thing. Stan Kasten is the greatest baseball president in the history of sports.
Stan Kasten's a monster. I saw Stan. I don't know if I told you this. I saw Stan a couple months back, right around Thanksgiving, at Wally's. And I was having dinner, and I saw him and his wife. I said, Stan, what's up, man? He hung his head. He said, you know what's up. I feel like a loser. I said, geez, Stan, I mean, what can you do? It's not, you guys lost a couple years, but it's not over. He said, yeah, we're going to see about it. I got to make some things happen. It was really like to himself. And this is in public, the high-end wine restaurant in Los Angeles.
Oh, I know. You're fancy.
And then he made this happen. Then he pushed the button on these fools.
He did.
And I really think, despite, I know you don't have a lot of time, so we're trying to rush through it quickly, but I really think I've never been the biggest David Price believer.
I have. I love him. Anyone coming out of Vanderbilt is a stud.
Yeah, them kids know how to. They know how to pitch in Tennessee.
David Price is not the same player. ERA was almost 5 last year.
Yeah, but that's still
velocity is down.
He showed up in 18 when they won the ring.
That's years ago.
And with that, he's never pitched in the National League, and I do believe that he's going to benefit greatly from being here. And
also, he was in Boston.
He's in the American League East, which is the toughest of the tough. His whole career.
Yeah, but now we're getting
no break.
No break.
He's an upgrade for most of those guys like Rich Hill that they got rid of and Maeda and all those guys. But I really don't expect a lot. But he'll give you more than most of those guys.
But let's look at the rotation now. You're talking about you got Kershaw, Buehler.
Kershaw should be the number 2 and not the number 1.
Either way it goes, I'm just laying out the rotation, fool, while you trying to
lace me up.
This guy, he's just unbelievable. He's got a buzzer in his T-shirt, so they're giving him answers right now on what I'm going to say next.
Exactly.
This guy. So you got Kershaw, you got Buehler, you got Price, and then you got, in my opinion, who could be better than all of them, you got Dustin May, who I really hope they don't play games with.
Yeah, they're playing.
And P.S. You got Urias.
I agree.
They play games.
Low key and assassin.
He is.
It's not even low key.
They need to let him pitch. Just plain and simple. They need to let that kid pitch.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Now I want to, and they got a reliever that I don't know if they're going to end up having a hard time if they that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're going to end up making Trinan the closer or they're going to stick with Ken Lee.
I don't know why, but
I'm interested to see what the big fella does. I'm giving him one last run at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to have him on my fantasy squad, but I'm going to give him one last run to see how Ken Lee, if he made an adjustment in the offseason.
They're going to pick up another arm. I really hope Joe Kelly can figure it out. But look, we're in a good place.
Yeah.
When Justin Turner is your weak link, like you doing pretty well.
I think a lot of it has to do with what Terry and I were talking about off mic, which honestly is are they going to play guys back at their right position? Can Max Muncy go to first base? Can now
the Gavin Lux?
Yeah, you got Gavin Lux that showed up last year. Let's see what his full sample size is like. What's going on with Bellinger? Is Bellinger going to be in center? Is he going to be in right? I think there's a lot to be determined, and spring training is, I think, actually going to be interesting because it's going to tell us a lot this year.
I don't think
right, and when your division rivalry is Arizona, you're good.
You are Gucci with that, even though I have no idea why Madison Bumgarner wanted to sign with them, but. Hey, to each his own.
I mean,
well, he ain't coming to the Dodgers, and here's the best part: Puig to the Giants. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, but the Arizona Diamondbacks picked up Starling Marte. That's big.
Yeah,
Arizona Diamondbacks.
I don't know.
Look good.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
Don't you know about Starling Marte?
I think the Padres are a bigger issue than them.
If the Padres, you know what?
Simone has a question, Terry. Will you stop being so rude?
Yeah.
Terry.
Hello?
Don't ask Terry.
What a hater. She wants to get down to where the rubber meets the road.
How much pressure is Coach Roberts under this year?
He should be under a lot of pressure because he doesn't play. You know what? Unfortunately, he gets blamed for the Dodgers' problems, and it's not him, really, because they're going with analytics, and he didn't play the game like that. So I wouldn't believe that he actually would coach the game like that. Because the analytics really hurt the game. This is why you got Max Muncy playing second base.
But there's nowhere in analytics that says bring Kershaw out again in relief, knowing damn well that he's not a relief pitcher.
But they might have went with that. Analytics might have said that. But they...
that can't be in the analytics. Yeah. That couldn't have been in the analytics.
I feel like
he won 107 games with him as a starter.
I think that hurts you. Max Muncy does the small things wrong when he's playing second base.
Yes.
Look like, I just feel like it's fantasy baseball when you fall in love with Lance Berkman and you draft him.
LB.
Have it no more.
He might not have it no more, but when he had it, he was a monster.
Yeah.
But you wanted to do a heat check.
Last thing, I know you got to jump. Last thing. Give me the Pete Rose. Give me the Pete Rose. Give me your take. Pete Rose asking for reinstatement.
Two things. The Houston MLB should seize the World Series trophy from the Astros.
Wrong.
That's one. And two, free Pete Rose. Free him.
You want a free Pete Rose?
No.
Now here, real quick, before you get off, I want you to hear this, because Terry brought up the ultimate point about Pete Rose. I've been about freeing Pete Rose forever. He got the wrong endorsement recently. Here it is.
Donald Trump backed it. That's more so than anything.
Usually that's a litmus test to let you know it's the wrong way. Donald Trump thinks that you should let Pete Rose in the hall, and this made me rethink the whole scenario.
No doubt. Not only that, I think
if the fascist wants it, I can't roll.
I mean, Pete Rose, MLB owes Pete Rose so much that, they should do promotional commercials with him.
Well, listen, if they got A-Rod, hold on a second. If they're willing to have Alex Rodriguez call games and talk to everybody about advice, which clearly he was falsely qualified to give, I really can't justify Pete Rose not being involved further than he is.
I mean, come on, man. It's just embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing.
But Pete Rose, he went along with what they established. He let them fool him. They told him that if he told the truth, if he came
they tricked him.
Yeah, and he said that he never had done it before. Then he said they told him if he came clean that they would let him in. He came clean, and of course gave you classic LAPD as well.
They gave you great LAPD.
You're convicted. We got you.
Now you get 10 years.
And let's not let's be honest. Baseball, this is a dirty sport since the beginning of time.
Since the beginning.
These players are dirty.
Dirty.
Ty Cobb was a racist peckerwood who would shave his metal cleats down to shank people.
Yeah.
Willie Mays was on speed. Tim Raines kept cocaine, slid head first because he kept cocaine in his back pocket.
Yep.
Like, this is what they do. They get every hostess at Applebee's pregnant. Like,
everyone? Someone said, whoa.
I got to make sure my daughters never work there then.
Hey, listen, man. Just tell her she needs to understand, the difference between, Delino DeShields and Jr. and Corey Seager. Just tell her to aim for the contracts.
I'll pass.
Wow. Troy OG, thank you for your brief moment in time, sharing your family with us. We hear that the young man has something to say in the back, but it doesn't seem like it's clear just yet what he wants to, what his point is. I'm sure it's a voicing Dodgers support, though. I knew he had something to say. I could hear him. I could hear him.
That's nice.
All right, Troy OG.
All right, peace. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Oh, what a fun way to start off the OZone.
Came in hot.
Yeah, OG came in hot. He was ready. He's been on me. He told me he wanted to
rip me a new one, huh?
Well, he told me since the Astros thing that he wanted to get on, and then when the word got out that the Dodgers were getting Mookie Betts, forget about it. He was like, I got to get on.
Oh, come on.
This is big news here.
I just still don't think that they're going to win, especially if everything
I think
is
Mookie Betts.
in place.
I think Mookie Betts is going to help Cody Bellinger so much. I can't speak it.
I don't think you can help him as far as up at the plate because his approach is bad.
Well, I think that's where you can help him is by recognizing and telling him. Yeah, but see, Justin Turner's been there the whole time. Mm-hmm. Cody Bellinger's competed against Mookie Betts, and Mookie Betts got the best of it with the ring. And I think that composure,
pressure off of him too.
Well, without question,
because now he's the best player on that team.
That's it. Yeah. And also, if Mookie can give him information about his outfield play, because one, he can do like he's always done. I mean, he'd have to do for JBJ, but he can do, or Andrew Benintendi, he can make up. That when you're out there with somebody who's a better athlete than you and that actually has a mastery of the position, they can always help you raise and elevate your game without question.
Now, the only difference to me right now is that I would use Mookie in center instead of.
I would too.
But the only thing, then the argument against that as well is center fielders usually get hurt.
Yeah, but what can you do? That's a job.
You go for it. But what are they going to do with this plethora of outfielders again?
Freaking Gavin Lux, dude. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to move some guys around.
Yeah, because you got Jock Pederson out there still.
Now, Jock is still out there. Now, how about that trade that didn't go through?
You got A.J. Pollock.
Yeah, they got too many guys. And Jock Pederson gave you 36 bombs in platoon work. I got to get Jock more ABs.
Yeah.
In this world, yeah, I thought it was 236, something like that. But in this world of it's okay to strike out a million times as long as you hit home runs. Who else do you want besides Jock?
Yeah. Well, I can think of a lot of people I would want besides Jock. But
no, I'm saying in that world of, you know what I mean, where it's okay to do that. Yeah.
Feast or famine?
In the feast or famine swing in this world.
Are we in the feast and famine culture?
Nah, some ways. We're in that cancel culture piece. So now what do you think about the rest of these moves that took place? Because honestly, it seems like the Minnesota Twins are trying to put together a winner up there.
Yeah, they're trying to put together a winner, but I think the big chip that might fall really, really soon is where will Nolan Arenado go?
Yeah. But you know what? For a little while, they made it seem like they were, making it all die down and, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Like everything is cool now.
Nolan Arenado said that he feels disrespected, and I do believe that he's ready to go. Because he hasn't. The only thing that's holding up a trade is that he has an opt out after 2021, and so if you trade a bunch of pieces for him, you don't want him to walk away. But if he went to the Padres, they don't have any room for him. Who would you move to?
You can't move. You can't move anybody. You got Tatis at short. You got Manny at third.
Yeah.
unless Nolan decides to play first, and that would kind of be a waste of that great leather.
Waste of leather.
Yeah.
But then if he goes to the Cardinals, forget about it. The Cardinals would have everything, literally.
Yeah.
And they would have to be the front runners to go to the World Series in the National League.
I feel like they still need another arm.
Pitching wise?
Yeah.
Oh, no. They have a bunch of young studs that are proven right now. They actually made noise last year. And
They got one young stud who's proven and made noise last year. And
Well,
he made
actually,
and
Wayne
he
Grove
made he made noise in the second half. He didn't make noise the whole time.
But they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's not all of them.
Yeah.
You act like they got a whole lineup.
Dakota Hudson, he pitched well. They have a nice rotation. They're not bad.
I'm not saying that they're bad, but
they'll be better than the Dodgers.
But to say that they're the front runners for the World Series
To go to
without
the
the
World
arms,
Series,
I don't know.
If they get, but the Reds literally have a stacked team now.
What do you think about that Red squad? Now, you're biased, so I can't trust you about the Reds. You love the Reds too much.
I'm biased, but I do love the Reds. But the Reds actually stacked up the rotation.
If Trevor Bauer remembers how to pitch.
Yeah, that's a big if. But you got the kid over there, Castillo. You got Sonny Gray that woke up.
Yeah, Sonny Gray seemed like he worked on something with his his mechanics or
Now
something.
Joey Votto actually has offensive support. So
Is it too old though? Is it too late?
But this is the thing. You don't have to.
Does he
depend
just
on
want to
him.
walk?
You don't have to depend on him like that now. You have serious sticks in there. The big question is if Eugenio Suarez is ready to go, and he had a shoulder problem.
Yeah. Well, they had major pop over there.
Yeah.
Before.
But the Braves are real, so I just can't say that.
It's hard to call.
Yeah.
It's hard to call.
Washington Nationals.
I actually
still got that front.
There's too much confusion going on, but I like the Mets.
I do too. I love the Mets.
Yeah.
Especially with Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso. I mean, your boy Cespedes could come back and do
If
something.
he could just come back somewhat of himself.
Yeah.
He's been out for about 2 years now?
Yeah, playing games on the farm.
Listen, it's a rich man. He had to go out there. He was trying to get his farm game up. What do you want from him? He's farm to table.
He was.
He wanted to go organic, and he got that ankle
nuts.
twist. He needed a gel boot. That's what happened to him.
Yeah.
All right, folks, moving on. We haven't been on the mic for a while, so you haven't heard our take on what happened in the Super Bowl. Want to put together a discussion for you. It's been a while since we've been on, and we haven't had a chance to check in with our NFL expert, Trucker Dave, on the roads of America. How you doing, Trucker Dave?
I'm pretty good. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, man, you know what? We're nursing T on the injured reserve. He's trying to get himself back together. They're going to shoot him up before the game and going to see if he can tough it out.
I might
Well,
test
he
dirty.
like Juan Gonzalez now.
Juan God.
Why you got to make me like Juan Gonzalez? I don't get a lot of injuries. I'm not like Juan.
Juan God.
That's terrible.
We're trying to get a maximum of 6 podcasts out of Terry this whole year. We're hoping he can play up to his contract.
Had to do something from Hawaii, huh?
Have to do so. Exactly. He says, he has to make a decision for his
Make
family.
your jokes.
Ultimately,
Make your jokes.
this is just about I got to be closer to the family, and I tried to play through it, and this is what happened. But what we want to talk about is, in my opinion, who it is that took a dump in the bed. How did the San Francisco 49ers blow a game where the defense showed up for 3.5 quarters to shut down the Kansas City Chiefs? Did they throw the game? Let's just talk. Let's just have a roundtable about the Super Bowl. I know it's a little late, but it's still fresh. Feels like a year ago now. What did you see that happened out there?
I just saw Kyle Shanahan doing some stuff that he shouldn't have did, and I think it cost him just like in Atlanta.
I completely agree. That's my biggest take as well, because this is just the whole thing, the whole soup warmed over again. The same thing that he did against the Patriots. This dude went out there and didn't run the ball. You're a running team,
right?
And now you put the ball in the hands of Jimmy Garoppolo, which I feel like who can do it, but you can't put him in a situation to fail. And they put him in a situation to fail in the second half.
I read some sort of statistic that I can't remember the exact statistic, but it was crazy. From the point that they were up 20-10, they threw 19 drop back passes, of which I want to say only 9 were complete, and several of those ended up going out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like, it was as if they did everything they could to keep the clock frozen to give Pat Mahomes the ball.
And Kansas City put the pressure on him.
Yeah, but once
did.
Pat Mahomes threw the pick at 12:33 in the fourth quarter, that should have been lights
Should have
out.
been lights out. I
That
agree.
should have been lights out. I totally agree. And then they want to go hard on Richard Sherman, and I was looking at it the opposite way. Like, for this guy to come back after an Achilles injury and even to be out there and to have his team in the Super Bowl. 1 week before that, he made a big play against Minnesota.
Sure did.
So, hey, what do you expect from this guy, man? It's still
People
can't
just want the
take anything
controversy.
from his career. Yeah.
People just want the controversy. Richard Sherman has had a wonderful career, and he's done his part. And I don't think that there's been one time that they've lost in the big game because of Richard Sherman.
Exactly.
You know, in this situation, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and in this situation, people haven't given, you know, you keep hearing about, hey, were the 49ers, was the defense a fluke? Were they overrated? People aren't giving enough credit to what it takes to shut down a guy who puts up 40 points a day.
Right.
Pat Mahomes puts up 40 points every single game, dude. And you held him to 10 points over 3.5 quarters. They gave up 10 points until 7 minutes and 33 seconds of the fourth quarter.
Well, and just go to prove your point is that they actually shut down Lamar Jackson in during the regular season as well. They shut down.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they're the real deal. But
how many times can we stop?
Exactly.
How many
the
stops
coach put them in a situation to lose, and they lost. I mean, literally, you got to run the ball.
Exactly what happened.
Because Kansas City,
they didn't stop Deebo Samuels.
Yeah.
Keep the ball.
No. And they stopped running the jet sweep.
Yeah.
Stop running that sweep, which was unstoppable.
Which then opens up the pass.
And then what about these bad calls?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of calls, but there was key bad calls.
Word.
That George Kittle offensive pass interference before halftime was enormous.
Especially after you saw what Kyle Rudolph had done.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. It was really huge, man.
Kyle Rudolph gave you the Heisman.
Man. Yep. So there you go. Just like that. Season's over, man. I mean,
just like that, the season's over, and we got Pat Mahomes as the MVP,
and he shouldn't have been.
Not in my opinion. He didn't have a good game.
He didn't.
No, but he made some big plays on that 3rd and 15. That was huge.
Yeah,
that was huge, man. That was really, really huge. What he did, and
but Williams running amok was huge.
I know, and him catching the ball out of the backfield also.
Yeah.
And him scoring when he didn't really score was huge.
Right? That was terrible.
What is going on? What is the point of replay if we're going to keep getting all of these things wrong? Just like how to kind of just to support, but kind of cross-reference in the NBA, Dame Lillard had that insane streak that he just went on.
Right.
And then they cheated him with a goaltending call at the end of the game.
Got it wrong and kept
it wrong, and then came out with an apology later. And I don't blame Dame. Dame came out and said, man, I don't want anybody want to hear that bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And he said it plain, he said that. Like, and how are you going to be mad?
These politics in sports are huge.
I think they fined him, but I don't think it was as they didn't usually you miss a game or something like that. I think they fined him a nominal fee, but it's just unbelievable.
It really is, man. Well, what do you guys think about these Dodger moves?
Oh, this is what we were just talking about. I like the way the direction the Dodgers are going. They needed a move. They made a big move. They are taking a page out of the Angels book though, because they have a surplus of outfielders, and we're going to see what ends up happening there. I want to know, where is Tom Brady going to end up? Because the statement that Robert Kraft came out with did not seem supportive, in my opinion.
Well, they're saying that they're going to build a luxury tax.
Well, and you know what else he said? He said, well, we think he should exploit free agency. And so then if he comes back and we make it, we come to an agreement, we'll know that this was the right place for him, and he'll know this was the right place for him.
So basically they want to lowball him.
That's what they're saying.
Hey, but it's just two things that's going in his favor. One is Dak Prescott's contract with him wanting $40 million, which is ridiculous. I mean, because if you put Tom Brady behind that line, even as bad as he is now, he could do something there. Or if you release Jimmy Garoppolo, like they're talking about, it won't be a cap hit. And if he played there in San Francisco, I think he would do good in San Francisco. Any team that's got a good offensive line and a halfway decent running game.
Well, and short passes. If he could step into the San Francisco situation,
he can give you that Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Jimmy G's problem was Jimmy G couldn't get the ball down the field. You know, even though he has a hose, he just can't seem to have the confidence to get the ball down the field.
This is once again going back to that play to Emmanuel Sanders. It should have been Deebo Samuels, because Deebo is actually fast. Emmanuel Sanders is not that fast like that anymore.
But he was still behind the defense. He was still behind the defense.
He was behind the defense, but those passes, you know, those deep passes are far and in between. You got to have he has a good arm, but it's not precise.
So, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Deebo would have been able, even with a bad pass, Deebo probably could have caught that pass.
That was like 6 yards out, T.
Deebo got burners, man.
I don't care if you got burners or not.
People in the league.
That's 20 feet. You're talking that's too far. That's
think it was
too
20 feet out.
That's
I think
too
the
far.
defense could've got
That's
it.
too far. He threw the pass. He was about 3 yards behind the defense, and the pass was 5 to 6 yards past him.
Debo would have had it.
You got to make that pass. So
You got to make that pass.
I agree.
That's not on the.
But I just didn't feel like it was a bad call because I wouldn't want Emmanuel Sanders on the fly route. I would want Debo to go.
No, I don't think it's a bad call. He gets behind. He got behind the defense. How is that a terrible call? It's a terrible throw. Everybody else,
Because we want to
all
put
of
the
the
guy
other
who has
prime.
the potential of catching that ball in that situation.
You had the potential to catch the ball if you get behind the defense and the ball is there.
Not right now.
yeah.
Everybody has a potential to catch that ball if the ball is there. If the ball's not there,
pass, man.
you got to make that
You got to
pass.
make that pass. There's no excuse for that. And that interception that he threw that was high over the middle.
Unacceptable.
What, you talking about the one where he closed his eyes?
He threw that high over the middle. That was a big play in the game right there, You know what was bigger than that was that 3rd down and 5 where he threw that incompletion.
Sure was,
Well,
and
when
they
Chris
didn't
Jones
run the
knocked
clock, and they couldn't, and the clock didn't run. That was key.
And
That
this is
was huge.
another coaching problem.
It is.
Because you need to milk the clock. You got a nice lead, milk the clock.
Got a nice lead, a 2-score lead.
Yeah, and you have two. I don't know what happened with Matt Breida because he averaged more yards per carry, I think, almost than everybody in the league this year. But all of a sudden, you're not giving him the ball. Mostert and Tevin Coleman were the main running backs, but they didn't give him the ball. So
What we're learning is that you can't count on Kyle Shanahan in the big game
Or Sean McVay. They both are the same way.
I can't say
From the
that
same
because
kid.
Sean McVay's happened once in this
that's how many times
situation.
you might only get that one opportunity.
Kyle Shanahan just got 2, and he blew them both. And Andy Reid
Sean
has had
McVay
Andy Reid has had countless. And this is a situation where you had somebody who had to win out of the losers. So I hope this turns the beat around for Andy Reid, and it's beautiful to see that somebody like Pat Mahomes, who's such a winner, is able to say, nah, whether or not you want me to lose, even if you set me up, coach, to lose, I'm going to still figure out a way to get it done.
He took a lot of big hits in that game.
Punished.
Yeah.
And there's so many people, it just tripped me out how many
Massive.
people were trying to say, man, Mahomes, he just wasn't sharp. That's what getting stuck does to you.
Yeah.
It makes your passes wobble. I mean, he got blown up at the one that was near the goal line.
Yeah, he got stuck. He got hit a lot. He got hit real hard. But the thing is, if he takes this $40 million contract and diminishes the weapons around him, that's not good. I wouldn't take that whole $40 million that they're trying to offer him. And, so you can have money to re-sign your players around you because it's just not good, man. It's not good.
This is also a testament to usually great players because great players usually take less when they're the superstar on the team so that they can continually keep winning championships. They can keep putting out that good product. But if you decide that you're going to take all the money, then you're not going to be able to, especially with salary caps and everything in football, although the contracts don't mean anything because they're made out of aluminum foil.
Speaking of which, did either one of you guys watch the 30 for 30 on Michael Vick?
I did not. I know you told
I
me
didn't
about it.
see it, man.
Oh, man, I wish you guys would have because I just want to speak about it. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it right now. Watch it as soon as you get off the horn, pull it up. It's a 2-parter, and they're each is.
I think it was 4.
No, it's a 2-parter, and each of them are an hour and 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, I mean, they really do justice to telling Michael Vick's full story. And I think that it's easy to forget how absolutely mesmerizing Michael Vick was. The only problem I had with it is they didn't make as big of a deal as they should have of him going up to Lambeau and winning in the playoffs and how that had. Now, remember when we watched that game together and we talked about this? Are you crazy? You go up to Lambeau and win in the playoffs in the winter?
Brett Favre.
That dude was so fast that nobody could touch him.
So they did. Man, I wish you guys would have seen it. I'm sure some of the listeners have seen it. They talked about that on the thing, and he said, at the end of the doc, I don't want to blow this stuff for you guys, but at the end of the doc, he's like, now they have him talk about how he introduced and paved the way for this new age of accepting this new age of quarterback. And he said, I took a lot of hits, and eventually I just needed to retire because it was just my time. He said, but also, he said, because after being 11 years of being a starter, I couldn't accept being the number 2. He said, and people ask me all the time why I didn't slide more, this, that, and the other. He goes, honestly, I played the game fast. He goes, and I just played too fast to slide a lot of times, and I took some big hits. They showed him in college in the bowl game, and he's talking so casually where he arguably put up the greatest college football game in history, and I wasn't aware because I don't watch a lot of college football. But when he was at VTech, he said, man, they got me out there. I'm juking left. I'm juking right. I can't hear the crowd. I tore some dude's ACL. I tore another dude's PCL. And it sounded like he was talking crazy. Then they showed the highlight footage of the dudes laying on the ground. He goes, and I felt bad. He goes, I felt bad because these guys were high draft picks. And I might have changed their draft trajectory because these guys had to recover. He said, but man, you put me on that turf. There's just no way to stop me if you get me out there on that turf. He's like, I was young, I was fast. Forget about it. Man, I wish you guys could have seen it because we could talk for 45 minutes just about this Michael Vick documentary. Really? It is fascinating. First and foremost, I didn't know that him and Allen Iverson are from the same projects. Wow. They're from the same spot. Know that either. Yes, and they have Allen Iverson on the dock, and Allen Iverson is talking. He said, I used to tell people all the time, y'all watch. This is the football version of me. Y'all watch my boy Mike. Watch Mike Vick get busy. It's great. They talk about the dogs. They talk about this like it's a really fascinating thing, and it's a beautiful thing that he got a second chance and what he's done with it. Really is. Man. 30 for 30 on Mike Vick. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it.
What I like about him is that he's supposed to be mentoring Lamar Jackson, and
he talks about it on the doc.
Really? Oh, he does.
Yeah, he talks about it. He talks about how important it is based on what he had and who he had. He actually talked about Dan Reeves. He talked about how positive of an influence Dan Reeves was and how Dan Reeves gave him a gift when he first got to Atlanta, and it was a set of golf clubs. And he said he walked in the office. He said, what is this for? I ain't never golfed a day in my life. And then he reflected when he was in the middle of his trial with the dogs and everything. He said, man, he goes, I was just thinking to myself, man, I wish I would have took advantage of coach's golf clubs because he was trying to do something for me that would have kept me away from all this. It has his boys on there that got him caught up. It has, I mean, it's an in-depth look, really in-depth look. It was great, man.
I have to go back and check that out, but I don't think he's a quarterback that changed, the whole thing about running quarterbacks. I would have to give that to Russell Wilson because people started looking at Russell Wilson and saying, man, this guy can run, he can pass, and he's a pass first. His IQ is just unbelievable.
I agree, but at the same time, Michael Vick, the inspiration, when you hear these guys talk about what Michael Vick was to them, all of these guys who were watching him, because if you remember when Michael Vick became the quarterback of the Eagles, Michael Vick then in turn started to pass. And he was actually more pass first, and he was sharp.
But speaking of that, though, I always go back to Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham was the one who started that out more so than everybody. And nobody ever really speaks about it, and he was devastating. He had a hose.
He sure was.
He had a hose. And he passed first, and he took off, and then the league had never seen anything like that where a guy could just get out the pocket and just take off. But once again, they take too many hits. I think this is something special about Russell Wilson because he takes a lot of hits, and he's still in the league, and he's still,
he can roll. He can roll hits well. He rolls the big hits.
Flush.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a boxer. I wonder if he does some classes. Like I wonder if he does some sort of training on hit taking.
This year I've seen him take more hits than any other year. He took a lot of hits this year.
They're saying that he should trademark his slide because from baseball.
Oh yeah.
Look at the way that he slides, and they're like, this guy slides amazing, man.
Listen to this. On the Mike Vick documentary, they talk about how in Atlanta, they brought over Terry Pendleton from the Braves to teach him how to slide. He's like, I just couldn't do it. He was like, it's not like I didn't know how to slide. He's like, I'm just playing too fast. He's like, I'm playing, the game is going too fast. I'm playing too fast. Man, you watch this documentary, it's so easy to forget that Michael Vick was a video game.
Right.
I mean, what you like from Lamar Jackson, this and the other. The quickness, I don't know if I've seen a player ever that's fast and quick like Michael Vick.
I think Lamar Jackson is that. But
he's not quick like that.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson.
Yes,
he is. Lamar Jackson.
He's fast. He's fast.
And he's quick. He can. You can watch guys. He's just literally floating by him, and you're thinking to yourself, this dude should be able to at least touch him.
And that's the thing. Mike Vick is not floating guy. But man, you guys got to see it. Michael Vick's highlight reel is like watching Barry Sanders when he's throwing.
A great say, Barry Sanders.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you. You got to watch it.
Donovan McNabb, though.
Mm-hmm. How about this? Donovan is the person who really mentored him when he got in trouble. Tony Dungy and Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb is the guy that got him that shot in Philly. And I could talk about it nonstop.
Solid dude, man.
He's a solid dude. He said he went out there to Leavenworth and sat across from him. Michael Vick said he couldn't express how much that meant to him for him to come out there while he was in federal prison to come sit with him and sit across from him
for fighting dogs or for the gambling.
No, he just that he was in prison and he couldn't believe what it meant to him that he was out there, that this man had decided to leave his luxurious life and come out there and sit with him and actually chart a course for him to be a better man. And he did a lot of stuff that did not make the headlines in the community to get back. And they showed, it's so prescient for today because they also showed Tucker Carlson said he should be executed. Yeah. There's all of these right-wing pundits that you see that are right-wingers, people who advocate children dying in cages, people who advocate the Muslim bans on countries, people who advocate all sorts of nonsense, were sitting there and had the nerve to talk about him being actually executed and murdered.
Said the same thing about the Central Park Five, even after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the same. That even though it was wrong, that's not the same thing because they were accused of beating and raping someone. I can understand how you get that sort of thing.
A guy like the president who even actually finds out that they're innocent, still won't recant.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the guys that were actually on the documentary who called for him to be executed for his activity with some dogs.
Well, you're still going to have half of America that's never going to forgive you. So
true. You know what? I can't say that. You know why? Because the situation with Michael Vick is just like the situation with everybody else that we've seen that gets in trouble. When you win, America forgets. And Michael Vick went out there and he mesmerized the country with his play when he got his second chance. And
yesterday.
What's that?
What have you done? That was yesterday. I understand what you're saying he did in the past. And what's more impressive about him is the way that he handled the press conference. When he went off the script on the press conference, was like one of the best press conferences that I've ever seen in my life.
Same thing goes for the 60 Minutes interview. He did a 60 Minutes interview with James Brown. And he said the best thing happened for me was they made it seem like it was going to be a big deal and not give me the questions. He's like, that's exactly what I want. It's really worth the watch. It's really, really worth the watch. I think it says a lot about the collective psyche of America, about how Americans look at sports and the divide and another situation with the two Americas that everybody lives in, whether or not they want to actually admit it. But it's worth the time.
Eye-opening, huh?
It was. Kudos. Wow. And that's coming from somebody who was watching Michael Vick be Michael Vick, in real time. I remember meeting Michael Vick. Man. Yeah, exactly. I remember when he was the man and meeting Michael. It was wild. Mm-hmm. Talking about how T.I. helped him out, how he literally had negative $1,250 in his bank account. T.I. called him.
Oh, wow.
Was like, hey, what you need, partner?
Hey, look, what you need, man.
As he said.
I got these chip, man.
and he said he blessed him.
I ain't going to leave you out like that.
And that's exactly what happened. It was wild. Anyway, Trucker Dave, where are you right now on the roads of America?
Traveling, man. Traveling, man. Look here, man. Look here, man. All good.
Wanted to say thanks for the analysis. We will catch you sooner than later and figure out what's going on with the NFL since it is a year-round sport.
It is a year-round sport, and it's nice talking to you guys, and kudos.
Peace.
Moving back to Major League Baseball, we didn't get to finish. We kind of got rushed off because of the homie Troy OG had to go to an art festival before going to take batting practice with his son. But how about these new rules? How about the 3-batter minimum? I'm very interested because it seems like Commissioner Manfred is really interested in trying to make the game better. I just don't know if he knows the ways to do that. And I don't know if the game needs to be made better.
Well, he's being creative, and I feel like there's always room for evolution. But the problem, well, it's not even a problem. I think they address some of the issues, but to me, the biggest problem is that he's trying to acquire baseball fans that aren't actually baseball fans.
That's the issue. And it doesn't start at the major league level.
Right.
I don't think baseball is a game where you just start watching Major League Baseball and you're like, wow, baseball's crazy.
Right.
I don't think it really works like that.
You have to be at the stadium and see a bomb get in.
Yeah, you have.
Oh my God, I'm all in from now on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but what he's doing is trying to make these changes. I know that they're working on speeding up the game, and I don't think that speeding up the game is the answer.
I think it's all about understanding the game.
Now, I do like them changing the rules so that you can't keep flip-flopping pitchers at every batter.
Yeah.
Because that does slow the pace of the game. Although they can still sell more concessions, it doesn't do anything for the people on television.
Which is who's paying for the game.
Exactly. And so they don't really need to work on actually speeding up the game in a sense. But if you're going to have a challenge, you said that now you're shortening the time down. The coaches have less than 20 seconds to make that call. But even if you give them the 20 seconds, let's make sure that you get it right. Because we saw a lot of times last year where they got it wrong and it was like a pissing contest because they would never acknowledge that it was wrong and just say, okay, we got it wrong. Now everybody in all of sports is using the whole angle of, you know what, it wasn't enough to overturn the bad call. And that's a lot of times it's not true. A bad call is a bad call.
What do you mean?
So say, for instance, across the board, look at the Kansas City Chiefs game.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs game where Damian Williams went across the line and just helped.
Oh, but his foot was out of bounds, and they're trying to say, well, that wouldn't have changed.
Yeah, and they're also saying that it wasn't enough to change. They didn't have a.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
Clear and convincing.
Exactly, and baseball does the same thing. They'll say that a call wasn't enough. Now, what they are talking about ushering in pretty soon are the robotic umps, which I think that might help the game, honestly.
Really?
I don't know how they're going to incorporate the regular umpires and the robotic umps, but we see the umpires who are making the ball that much harder to hit, and it's already crazy hard to hit. But if you're talking about guys now that back in the day when we were playing, it was probably like 85 miles an hour. Now it's got to be up to at least 90, 92.
The average?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys bring the noise now.
Yeah. And you're talking about guys being able to hit that. And then when umpires with crazy wide zones, it's a problem.
Which you see.
Yeah. A bunch of strikeouts now because you get guys to lose the discipline.
Yeah, I don't think that's the only reason you see a bunch of strikeouts. I think the fuzz has a lot to do with it. I also think the fact that guys are swinging for the fences has a lot to do with it. But it's going to be interesting to see with this being the new decade. It's crazy to say. It'll be interesting to see by the end of this decade what it is that the world is like, because there's so much going on in the world, whether it's sports, politics, technology, that is changing, and everything is changing so fast.
Cheating.
I also think, I also think that it's interesting that they are now encouraging or bringing in rules that have something to do with like an Ohtani or Michael Lorenzen and these guys.
Yeah, and that's hurt. That to me hurts the game.
How's that?
Because when you're growing up and playing the game, everybody can play multiple positions, but not actually at that higher level. These two guys, actually, there's maybe 2 or 3 guys in the whole league that can actually do that. So let's not punish them from being able to do that. So now you're putting on a minimum of them being able to, pitch at a certain time and everything else. Well, if
I didn't understand it, that's what they were doing.
I don't completely understand the rule, but it says something about a minimum of 20 batters faced.
That's to get the designation. And the reason the designation, from the way I understood it, and I could be wrong, the reason that the designation is that they're basically saying when they bring in Shohei Ohtani, that doesn't count against their pitcher count or their pitcher pool because he plays both ways.
Right.
And they bring in Lorenzen and he plays both ways. And so they can move him around.
What about this thing with the extra innings? Because I saw there's something in there.
Now I don't think, and I hope that that's not in play now, this starting the extra innings with a runner on base or this kind of nonsense.
No, I'm talking about the extra innings. So if Ohtani's in the game and they couldn't bring him in or something like that.
See, I feel like they're going to have to educate. Yeah, they're going to have to educate the audience. Now, one thing that's very interesting as well that they're talking about implementing in a couple years is this playoff format. You saw that?
Yeah, and it looks pretty fun.
It looks like it could be fun. A team choosing their own opponent is actually really cool.
And it's disrespectful at the same time.
Totally disrespectful, which fires up the other team.
Fire up the other team. I don't really.
And anything can happen in baseball. That's why we love it.
But now, in that, would you pick any team from the whole league? That pool?
No. That's not how it works. Pool? So the playoff pool will expand from what it is now. To, I think, an extra 4 or 5 teams. And in that pool, that's who you get to choose from. I don't want to
extend the pool too much because I don't want to end up like basketball. Basketball is diluted because everybody in the whole league goes.
And herein lies the argument against it. If you have a 162-game season, that should determine the playoffs.
Right.
But what they're saying now is they're going to stretch it out a little bit, which actually gets rid of the wild card game, which I like a lot. Well, that winner-take-all game is real. It's high pressure.
Well, and then what's going to hurt as well is that then the other team gets a bye. And that's not good for baseball.
I don't think buys are, it's not good for the quality of baseball is what he's saying. That buys don't necessarily help you in baseball.
No.
You actually need consistency of play.
And if you're not playing, if you get to take off a week or something, that's going to hurt you. This is like me going to spring training all over again.
I don't think they're going to take. I don't think it would be that long.
Well,
but I don't know.
Off a bye, and if somebody's in a 5-game series, how long are you going to be laid off?
It's the best of 3. It's not the best of 5.
And the way that they stretch it out, trying to milk that money.
Well, I mean,
close to a week.
I don't know.
Come on,
this is the thing. I don't know.
Child.
Well, we got a couple more years before we have to figure it out. How about your boy Mike Bolsinger suing the Astros?
Man, that's
you love the Astros.
Man, that's so
You're
petty.
in love with the Astros.
That's so petty. No,
he's out the league. How is that petty?
Because he didn't just face the Astros all the time. He stuck the joint up even when
that was the last straw.
Yeah. So he's going to have to justify all the other games that he didn't win in. You can't just hold it against the Astros. What was his ERA against the Astros?
6,000. Transylvania 6,500 is what his ERA was. Now, did you see Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman apologize? And what was your take there?
No, I did not get to see it because that just happened.
Let's listen to it then. Yeah, they just apologized
a few minutes ago, right?
Yeah. I gotta try to find it. Hold on a second. There it is. Ernie, you ready? Mm-hmm. Probably got an ad. Oh, come on.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it.
You got it right here.
Part of spring training. I'm going to go over a few remarks, and then I'm going to turn it over to our players, followed by some comments from Dusty Baker here. Last month, when MLB announced the penalties to the Houston Astros, I issued an apology to our fans and the city of Houston. I want to say again how sorry our team is for what happened. I want to also repeat that this will never happen again on my watch.
That's Jim Crane. Want to move on. If you want to find this, you can find it at MLB.com. And here is Phenom Alex Bregman, who actually came up and made his bones in that World Series.
Speak on behalf of the players.
I have some brief remarks that I'd like to share with y'all. I am really sorry about the choices that were made by my team, by the organization, and by me. I have learned from this, and I hope to regain the trust of baseball fans. I would also like to thank the Astros fans for all of their support. We as a team are totally focused on moving forward to the 2020 season. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Alex. I also will be brief. We had a great team meeting last night, and I want to say that the whole Astros organization and the team feel bad about what happened in 2017. We especially feel remorse for the impact in our fans and the game of baseball. And our team is determined to move forward, to play with intensity, and to bring back a championship to Houston in 2020. Thank you.
You've heard from Jim, and you've heard from Alex, and from Jose Altuve, and I just want to say, at that meeting last night, the players showed tremendous remorse and sorrow and embarrassment for their families, the organization, the city of Houston, and for baseball. And I'm just want to ask for the world, the baseball world, to forgive them for the mistakes that they've made. And we're looking forward to an excellent season this year in a great town. That's a great baseball town, and we want to bring a championship back. It was kind of a weird situation for me, to have to come into this situation, but I feel that, Jim Crane and the Astros felt that I was the man to try to take us forward.
It's Dusty Baker, your man. How you feel about the Dusty Baker signing?
That's punishment to the Astros enough. I feel like, one of the problems with that more so than anything is that Dusty Baker's a good baseball guy, but it doesn't progress the game to me because you need to bring in fresh blood. I'm always about the youth movement. I feel
you
like
want Eric Bieniemy to get his head job.
Yeah, I want all these young guys who've played in the past or who get a fresh face out there, and they can go but what they're doing is trying to basically smooth it over. And there was a great script that everybody was reading from, but you didn't really feel like you got anything from the heart from these guys.
No, you didn't.
And
you felt like you got it from the heart when Justin Verlander was laughing about it at the thing that Cody Bellinger and CeCe Sabathia were not laughing at.
Right.
That's when you feel like you got the real.
Yeah, but I mean,
did you hear what Gary Sanchez said, which I loved? They asked Gary Sanchez about the whole cheating thing. He said, yeah, of course we feel like we got cheated out of the World Series that year. He said, let me tell you something. I hit a walk-off home run that takes my team to the World Series. You can rip off my jersey. You can rip off my pants. You can rip off whatever you need to rip off. I'm not running into the dugout to make sure that you don't rip off my jersey.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's way overblown. I would never concede. I won't ever say that because literally everybody keeps talking about cheating in real time. All of it's cheating in real time, and everybody needs to get over the hump of them or people. If you're going to pay guys millions and millions of dollars to cheat, then don't be surprised when they cheat. And this is what we keep doing. So if you don't like the Astros, if baseball,
what do you mean? Who's paying $1 million to cheat?
The teams.
What do you mean by
all of the organizations, everything's incentivized to cheat. So with the A-Rods and the Astros and the John Jones and everything else, you get paid extra money when you're considered successful by, winning titles, championships, belts, or whatever it is. Canelo, all of them. If they test dirty, it doesn't matter as long as you win. And then when you win, the winning culture says that we'll give you a pass. So everybody forgets about it. The only key to to cheating is that you're not supposed to get caught. If you get caught, then you're a pariah. But before that, it's okay. They're talking about how teams in the past had already complained about the Astros.
That's something that I found that was very interesting. And goes back to the league itself. They're saying that teams complained extensively over that season.
Come on, man.
Like 12 teams complained over a full year. And this information isn't being released to the public until 3 years later almost.
Right. I mean,
just because Friars came out and said something.
Yeah.
It's the same situation that just because Jose Canseco came out and said something about the juice is what pushed the first domino over, to start talking about the
Kaepernick
juice.
Because
he's out.
He got out the league because and they let Mark McGwire stay in there
on VH1.
Yeah, they let Mark McGwire stay in there, and he tore the league apart. Hitting the juice bombs and everything else. But I mean, everybody's got to pick their poison. Either you want a game that's going to accept the game for what it is, or not. But don't think that the guys aren't still going to find a way to cheat, because they are. The Patriots, the Astros, everybody. This is a part of sports, and if everybody,
so you're okay with it, is what you're saying.
You're
okay with technology being used.
Don't bring up the tech because I'm always with
tech Terry.
I'm always down with the tech.
So you're bringing what you're saying is you're okay with the tech.
If it's going to it's better to me for a guy to do something like that than it is for somebody to be a juicer. Because if you're a juicer,
that's a little bit of the mansplain. I'm not asking you, is it okay to juice? I'm saying you sound like what you're saying is you're giving me the Mulvaney right now. Look,
no, don't put me on. Okay. It's gonna asking for problems. You put me in the category with Cheeto in there.
This is what happens in policy. It's gonna happen. Get over it.
No, that's because we're talking about altering somebody's life or death situation with Mulvaney.
Hey,
we're not talking about that with this.
Our special guest is here, ladies and gentlemen, on the OZone. Let's get her set up. The champ is here, folks. She's about as big as my left thigh, but she's huge in the ring, and she's big in boxing out there. Seniesa Estrada, also known as Super Bad. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Looking good. Sporting your Kobe jersey.
Nice.
Oh,
And
yeah,
KB8
definitely.
too. That was KB8 was real hard to handle. KB8 was a monster.
That was the Kobe I knew and the Kobe I grew up with.
Listen, me too.
High flying Kobe.
That was,
Yeah.
forget about it. That was
The very selfish Kobe. That
It was very selfish.
That wouldn't pass the ball.
but he'll put your lights out. He will put your lights out.
Put your lights out.
Man, monster.
Yeah, monster.
Now, you're an East Sider yourself.
Yeah, born and raised in East LA.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I live on the East Side. Me myself, I enjoy the West Side's too dense for me, so I keep mine real east. And you're a part of the Golden Boy stable. We were actually just about to cover Golden Boy boxing, amongst other boxing and other sports. But one of the running things that we've been going on this year, because we were just talking about the Dodgers getting cheated out of the World Series by the Astros, despite being dressed in Dodger paraphernalia. My brother was an Astros fan, is an Astros fan still.
Man.
And exactly. and he seemed to be okay. And he seems to be okay with the cheating. But in general, just so you know, coming in, the theme that we go into in society is how sports is supposed to make people have an equal playing field. That's why in sports, in boxing, they have weight divisions. This is why they have different levels and leagues and so on and so forth. And sport is supposed to be the part of society that makes everything fair. And then you get to compete when everything is fair.
Right.
Unfortunately, nowadays, sport seems to have been blurred and crossed over into the lines of where you're incentivized to cheat.
Yeah.
And we watch it over and over and over. It doesn't matter whether it's sport or politics or whatever else. Winning is the ultimate enema to any problem that you have in America. If you win, people seem to be able to forgive your transgressions and so on and so forth. We were waiting for you to come in to talk combat sports top to bottom because I purposely didn't buy the John Jones fight this weekend. I actually have a problem with John Jones and the way that society has dealt with the John Jones factor in sports.
I totally agree with you. I feel the same way. I'm not a John Jones fan just because of the whole, his whole cheating scandal.
It's nonstop. It's not even like it was once.
They don't even bring it up anymore.
But they don't even. They just sweep it right under the rug.
And they're still calling him the greatest of all time.
This is unbelievable to me.
It's unbelievable.
This is what I'm saying.
I didn't buy the fight, and my dad was like, "Hey, do you want me to send you a link? Like, I'm gonna try to get one."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, if you can find a link, cool. But I'm not gonna pay for it. And
I'm not gonna pay for it.
If you don't find a link, it's fine
I'm
with
cool
me.
too.
I'm not gonna watch it."
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, it seems like that man got cheated on Saturday night because what I saw, I saw on Twitter people posting about it. Sometimes some dude on Twitter had bought the fight and he was just taping the fight, was doing a live stream of the fight. And I was actually going into some sort of Oscar party, so I had to leave halfway through the third round. But from what I saw, and I'm not a UFC specialist at all, but I can recognize when somebody getting their ass whooped. And in rounds
Classic
1,
LA.
2, classic LA. Rounds. Hey, I recognize that. Yeah, get him. The rounds 1, 2, and 3, and at least half of 3 that I saw,
He got him in the
John Jones got beat up.
Yeah.
And now somehow or another he dug out a decision that was a lopsided decision that they had him winning.
And I told you he gave me the classic fighter that loses. He said, I need to go back and look at that. So
Go back and look at the tape.
If you say that, then obviously you did something wrong.
I have to go back and look at the tape to see who won the fight.
You should be confident. Not going to have to. But I don't understand that. I don't agree. I'm not a fan of anybody who once got busted for PEDs or,
But the part is, you just said it, the part that trips us out is they just act like it never happened. You get to a point where for some reason, after it happens and you have to write out the scandal. Yeah. How you write out the scandal is critical. Right. Because if you write it out and you admit it, chances are you're out of the league. Right. If you write it out and you deny, you have some other side. Oh, it was my cell phone. This T-Mobile service must have caused some elevated testosterone levels. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if you just keep playing that, especially if you're a draw, because then the commissions start to bend the rules for you. John Jones he's like UFC's big baby, except for he's really good.
And how many times
he got popped for coke? He got popped for speed, I think.
And PDs twice.
And the juice twice.
Yeah.
I mean, he messed up Daniel Cormier's.
Ruined Cormier. I mean, his mindset.
He ruined his mind.
Yeah.
Made that man break down in the ring because he just couldn't believe that he couldn't get over the hump of John Jones.
Yeah. Multiple times too, and they're still acting like it didn't happen.
Well, and the problem with combat sports is that because when you get in there, it's a life or death situation.
Yes,
and somebody could really, really get hurt or
killed.
Yeah, or killed, and you're out there on the juice. Deontay Wilder on the juice is.
You put Deontay Wilder on the juice, and people's lives are in danger as is.
Right.
And you put him on the juice.
Some of these big thumpers like that.
Are you crazy?
Come on.
That's murder.
That's murder. That's what he said. That's what he told us.
Deontay was on the pod, and we were talking about it because that was right when he was about to fight, I think, Stiverne.
It was Ortiz the first time.
No.
And then they canceled it. Remember?
Yeah, that's what I said. He was about to fight Stiverne because Stiverne was the replacement for Ortiz when Ortiz got popped juicing. And I was telling him that I felt like his growth as a boxer had been stunted because there was a period where he couldn't get rounds. Because everybody that he was supposed to fight, it was like 3 guys in a row got popped juicing, and it ended up postponing the fights.
That's true.
And Terry said, "Wow, man, can you imagine you on the juice?" He said, "Yeah, dog, that's murder."
And agreed. Like first you had to kill somebody.
No, it's murder. It's murder as soon as he takes the needle.
That's so funny. Yeah, in sports, I feel like everybody wants an advantage somehow. Right. Whether it doesn't have to be PEDs, just everybody wants some kind of advantage, especially in boxing too. Like no matter what it is, like everyone just wants the advantage. Like for example, with me and my team, like I've never had that type of mentality. Like I just sparred a few days ago against this girl from Australia. And she outweighed me by like 15, 20 pounds. Big girl. She was like 3 inches taller, 4 inches taller probably. And she was like, oh, all I have is 14-ounce gloves. And I spar with 10 or 12 ounces.
Right.
So my trainer's like, oh, no, hold on. Fuck that. Hold on. He's like, he went to the locker room and tried to find me some 14-ounce gloves that were my training partners. So I used the 14-ounce gloves, and I was like, all right, I got 14s. Like, I'm not going to go in there with 12s and you have 14s. Just that little 2-ounce advantage.
Right.
I don't want her to have an excuse after and say, oh, you had your gloves are 12 ounces, mine are 14, you know?
Yep.
It's just little things like that. Like, I would never even want somebody else to have, like, that type of advantage.
Right.
To, you know,
and
then,
well, you're in the minority
case,
there.
I would have the advantage because my gloves would be a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
I don't want that, you know?
Right.
But it's just, I don't know. Like, it's just some athletes just want that advantage of, like.
It's when the competition goes too far.
And in boxing back in the day, I remember Tito Trinidad had the cast on under his. They said that his wraps were molded like a cast almost. Yeah. You remember?
Oh,
I don't remember. I remember Margarito.
For example,
I don't
Margarito.
Yeah, I remember Margarito, but I don't remember that
Tito Trinidad.
Tito got caught with that.
I think B-Hop made him change his wraps or something like that. The way that he wrapped his hand when he fought him.
Margarito was through that whole time where he was like putting cement.
Almost ruined Miguel Cotto's career.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Life. Yes.
Yeah. His training camp was at our gym at that time.
Is that right?
At that time, yeah. And he was, we saw, like, we just saw everything. And when it came out into the media, Margarito's trainer told the media, oh, it must have been one of the kids at Montebello Gym who, like,
wow.
I swear to God,
under the bus.
It was you.
It was me.
How old were you at the time?
I was like 14, 15.
You're like,
hey, Antonio.
It
was that little girl right there.
Her.
She put cement in your bag, you know, but he blamed us. He was like, yeah, one of the kids must have dropped it in his gym bag and we accidentally put it on his hand. Like, no.
Yeah. It's not right.
But cheating has just gone too far in sports now, whereas, you know.
It's gone from advantage to, I mean, and there's an argument to be made that it's monetarily based because the kind of dough you're talking about, it puts you in a position where it's like you're too big to fail, you know, and then when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, John Jones's life has not changed based on of him. If anything, it's gotten better based on while he's won, even through the bad means. Now, what my question is, I don't know. You had the fight for what was my man's name? Damn, I can't even remember his name. You had the fight for John Jones' opponent. I only saw half of the fight, which I thought that guy won. Seems like John Jones got a decision. A couple people told me, yeah, you got to take the champ's belt, blah, blah, blah. I don't know about that because seemed like he came out. I saw him sock John Jones in the stomach and knock him down and looked like he was taking the champ's belt.
Dominic Reyes.
Dominic Reyes. Now, with that, though, we're looking at a scenario where did we see the real John Jones who was actually vulnerable and fallible, or was that just the fact that Reyes was that ready?
I think Reyes was ready because he came out there. He was confident. He wasn't afraid. Most of the guys come out there when the lights come on, they get intimidated.
Yeah.
And this dude came out there and started chunking him. He was ready to go.
Yeah. And that's what I wonder, though. This is always the question when you deal with somebody who has a history of cheating, which is when they finally get off of it, when you finally get A-Rod off the juice, he can't make contact.
We saw A-Rod without the juice, and he shouldn't be in professional sport.
He should not have been in professional sport. So now you're talking about a guy who's made damn near $1 billion and held back countless other people who could have been in the major leagues.
Because they've been taking it since high school.
At least. Yeah. He might have been prepubescent on the juice, as far as I know. I don't know. But I know I seen him in the boxing gym, and it was not impressive. I can tell you that much. But I digress. Anywho, let's talk about you. What's up, champ? You came through. Speaking of advantages, you stepped up. You like to fight bigger girls. You picking on bigger girls. You guys seem like, you and Marla seem like y'all had real beef. It seemed like you guys actually didn't like each other. And then you went out there and did that work. With 3-minute rounds, we've had a lot of conversations with women boxers about the difference between the 2-minute round and the 3-minute round. My approach, if I was actually to advise anybody about the 2-minute round, knowing the stamina of women's boxing, would be a full sprint through the 2 minutes.
Right.
Now, you're one of the few who's fought the 3-minute round. What was your take?
I love it. I wish I can fight 3-minute rounds every fight.
Really?
I mean, by the 9th round, because it stopped in the 9th round, I was ready to go I had my second win. I was ready to go another 10 rounds. But yeah, I see when it comes to stamina and women's boxing, a lot of women, they get tired quickly.
No doubt.
Even with 2-minute rounds and like the fight looks sloppy and it just.
It always, that hurts women's boxing in my opinion.
Yeah. It does. I think it's just a skill level.
Yeah.
And it's just a skill level, nothing besides that, really. I think, I don't know. I feel like they just have to go out there and hurry up and score their points and land a bunch of punches because it's only 2 minutes. And of course, their technique isn't that well.
Right.
They don't have good defense as it is, so it just makes it look even worse.
Now, when you train, do you train 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or what is it?
I train 3-minute rounds, yeah. But I mean, I can't always fight 3-minute rounds. Like my next fight, I'll be defending my WBC title, and WBC is against women going 3 minutes. They say something about the studies and like our brains are like thinner, and I don't know, bunch of bull crap.
Right.
Whatever.
You're not buying it.
Yeah, it's like women in the MMA. They go how many minutes? What is it? 4-minute rounds?
Yeah, they MMA they do the 5-minute rounds in UFC, but then I think they go 4-minute rounds.
You're getting elbowed. You're getting kicked in the face. Yeah. Like, I don't see the difference in women's boxing. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's just not enough of us who are for 3-minute rounds, so they're not really gonna.
There's not a call for it.
There's not a call for it. Exactly. Yeah, but as long as I'm fighting for an organization that allows me to go 3-minute rounds, then I'll continue to do 3-minute rounds. But my opponent has to agree. That's kind of difficult to get the opponent to want to do 3-minute rounds too. So
now this title defense is coming up already. It's already set. Where can the people see you? Where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on social media at Seniesa_Superbad, and my next fight will be March 28th at the Forum.
Nice.
I don't know if I was supposed to say that yet, but
well, you broke the news on the OZone. We appreciate it.
You heard it here first.
That's cool. And now, how have you enjoyed it? I mean, I read that you've been boxing since you were, wrapping Antonio Margarito's hands. So I read you've been boxing since you were a wee little tyke.
Yeah.
And now, as an adult, as a champion, what's the next level? What is it that you want to do? What do you see for yourself, for women's boxing, for what you represent, the whole nine?
Man, well, it's been a long journey. I started boxing when I was 8. I'm 25 years old. So I've been pro for about 7 years, but everything just started to take off like recently because women's boxing was so dead when I first turned pro. Like I didn't.
It's hot now.
Oh, it's hot now. It's gonna get
now. I ran
even
into
hotter.
Clarissa I ran into Clarissa Shields down in Miami at the fights 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with her about it, and I think she's doing a great job of moving it forward. and in the publicity component.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's doing a great job. So I just want to continue to. I mean, I could fight at 3 different weight classes, so I want all the belts at 105, all the belts at 108, and 112 is not my natural weight class, but I'm gonna.
Are you gonna stay there?
I'm gonna keep.
Is that what this defense is?
That's 108.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna keep the 112 title that I just won because I would like to also fight at 112.
Wow. It seems like with the women's boxing, it seems like that's more common than it is with the men. It seems like you have Amanda Serrano who, goes up and down. You got Clarissa who's talking about going from, basically the heavyweights all the way down to potentially fighting Cecilia Brecas. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what is that?
Yeah, and how hard is it to lose the weight or gain the weight?
For me,
it seems like it'd be harder for you to gain the weight.
Exactly, yeah.
That's how it looks like.
When I first started my career, I first turned pro, I was fighting girl. I didn't have a promoter. So I wasn't fighting very often, and I would fight every 8 months. I was super inactive. And the promoter was like, it's all about money and them trying to save money. So they're like, hey, we got this girl. She's she's
180 pounds. Jump in.
Yeah, here's her name. Basically, so I look her up on BoxRec, and I'm like, me and my team are like, holy shit, this girl's like a freaking bantamweight. She fights at 120 something. Like, what is this guy trying to do? So then, they're like, basically, it's just like a take it or leave it thing. Like, you want to fight or you don't.
Or you don't.
So I was going in the ring fighting girls who were outweighed me by 20 pounds, 25 pounds the night of the fight. It was crazy. I fought this girl my fourth pro fight. She came in 7.5 pounds at the weigh-in.
Jeez.
Yeah. So they gave her an hour to lose weight, and she lost
7.5 pounds in an hour. The whole world wants to know her diet.
And I sold tons of tickets, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fight her.
Let's just do it.
I know I'm gonna win either way. Doesn't matter how big she is. So my trainer's like, all right, if you want to do this, we'll do it. So I went in there, I won. But I didn't get to start my career off fighting at my natural weight class I should have been fighting at.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, how many amateur fights did you have before you turned pro?
I had over 100 amateur fights with 5 losses. I was, won over 10 national titles, junior Olympic nationals.
Wow. So now is boxing taking you all over the world?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's great. That's one thing I like about my job, and the movies have helped me see the entire world from as much of it as I've seen on the studio's dime, and I love that. I love when you get to go places to do what you're actually working, but you also get to go, and see stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I never would have. I'm from East LA, so I never would have been able to see any of that. Same thing with my dad. My parents were born and raised in Lisa Village projects in East LA.
That's what's up. You said you're a real native.
Yeah, my dad was in and out of prison and addicted to drugs. Around the time I started boxing is when he really changed his life and was there for me. Look
at God. He's got to be so proud of you.
Oh man, he's
That's
super
great
proud.
because you tightened him up.
Yeah.
You gave him something that he needed to focus on to really That's awesome. Wow. So now I was just reading you're on a monster streak. You're on a stoppage streak.
Yeah.
That had to be pretty satisfying for Marla to be talking crazy like that and then not to be able to get off the stool. Just to come out for that last fight. What you're gonna fight now at 108. Can you announce the opponent or you can't announce the opponent?
I don't think I can yet.
All right. So we keep it low. You let us know if we need to edit out even the date.
Okay.
But we're just gonna call you active. You're the active champ and you're interested in it. Now, going back to the PEDs, you notice even in the women's boxing, it's popping off.
Yeah. I probably fought a few girls who are on PEDs. I don't know. I don't know. They really don't know. They really don't test us like they test.
That's what I was going to say. What's the protocol? What is it? Do they have Avada testing? Is it just whatever, get on?
Most organizations or most promoters won't want to pay for it because it costs money to do the testing. So that's another issue. It's okay, promoters aren't taking women's boxing very seriously because they don't want to pay for their fighters to be tested.
Wow.
Now, what form of PEDs do they use? Is it mostly testosterone for women? Or would it just be HGH? It seemed like HGH wouldn't work right for women to use, right?
I mean,
I don't know. Sound like you're looking for a name brand. sound like you want to know.
For myself. I am injured. I do need to recover.
You're asking too many questions. You sound suspicious.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. No, but you had the scenario that just happened. That unfortunate situation where all the girls were saying the fight against
Alejandra Jimenez.
Yeah,
right?
that Alejandra, and they were saying that they thought they were implying that she wasn't a woman and blah 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 and blah blah blah. But then down the road, and Mauricio Suleiman he came out and spoke against that practice. But then down the road, the next couple of days, there was a test that came up dirty that she actually tested positive and cost Franchon. How do you say Franchon? Cost Franchon her wig and her belt. She pushed her wig in with the PDs.
Oh my God!
And now, but this is what we talk about. We talk about a lot with boxing on the show. We talk about a couple things that we think are important. One is boxing, combat sports. You guys are the only ones without a players' association or a union. Mm-hmm. If you look at any other sport, there's a union which then uniforms rules, uniforms customs, and so on and so forth. Provides health care, blah blah blah. There's none of that in combat sports. You're really on your own for whatever happens in there. And in that, it sucks. And you're taking a lot of risk, and it's admirable that you guys are still able to even do that. Right. And two, I wanted to know your take on open scoring.
Open scoring. Have I?
Meaning that
you know the score during the fight.
I always say that literally boxing is the only sport, the combat sports are the only sports where you don't know who's winning.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going to the park and playing a basketball game and literally the buzzer ends and I lost by 15 and I was like, oh, I thought I was up. Right. This is the only sport. It's the only sport where you don't know.
Right.
And to me, that whole scenario of, well, that's part of the suspense. You don't know who's going to get the card, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. To me, I don't think that that's worth it for what we see with a lot of these suspect decisions because we're seeing it more and more.
That's true.
And they actually made a lot of noise about that with the UFC, with John Jones, with this card. Everybody in the establishment tried to act like, oh, yeah, no, clearly you won, champ, blah, blah, blah. Then they heard the crowd booing, they heard everything, and they said, well, we got to get this together.
Yeah.
We don't want to turn into boxing.
Because even Joe Rogan wasn't even complaining about it during the fight. He was talking about, he was pumping it up, how John Jones could turn it up at any second, and how you have to watch out for him and everything, as the dude is destroying him. Mm-hmm. And then he complained. He was adamant. He was upset. Actually, after the fight, he was upset about the scoring. And I'm thinking to myself, you weren't complaining about it during the fight. Mm-hmm. You guys were trying to lean everybody towards John Jones, who wasn't actually winning the fight. And if you could see the scores, then I just think I feel like it's a way for them not to be accountable in a lot of ways. And then it's also a way for them to keep the money under the table. And,
and then when you see a lot of these, when you go to the World Championship fights, you see a lot of these referees. I don't know what it's like at your fights, how it's been when you fight for the belts. Man, a lot of these dudes are 100 years old with Coke bottle glasses, and they can't even, they're on walkers.
Oxygen tanks.
There's just no chance that you could count on these people to give you the proper decision.
No, stay awake. But then, that footage came out or whatever about Joe Rogan and watching a judge that wasn't even watching the fight at one point.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. She sent me a DM.
So, I mean, come on, man. But then they said they had boxing judges that were scoring that
oh, really?
Yeah. Which is
I wasn't hip to that.
Yeah,
that's
which is
interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Doesn't make any sense, right?
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
I'm saying that they're different disciplines. Well, moving more into boxing, we got a couple headlines. Friend of the OZone, family of the OZone, Sean Porter has come out saying, out the side of his mouth on this one, I have to say, saying that he doesn't even think Earl Spence is in the top 3 at welterweight. Said he believes it's him, Pac, and Crawford. And Sean doesn't believe that he lost to Spence. I love Showtime, and I love Kenny.
But man, both of those.
And we're supposed to go up with them tomorrow to watch them to record up at Fox. But I think Sean is speaking with forked tongue right now. I don't know how you can say that he didn't win that. How he didn't
fight.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean
but I do like him though.
I love Sean. He's a great guy. He's a great person.
Right.
But then he doesn't have.
And you don't see a lot of that
top three
in the. You don't see a lot of that in boxing, unfortunately, because the bravado and the buffoonery is accoladed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's nice to see somebody like Sean succeed. But we were at the fight. I actually thought Sean was either tied or maybe slightly winning. And that knockdown in the 11th, which was clutch by Earl Spence, the knockdown and then the 12th round took him over the top, in my opinion. I mean, you always have to believe in yourself, so I can understand. But there's nothing wrong with also just being honest when you watch the stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the 47 is crowded. I'm very interested to see what Kell Brook does. If Kell Brook comes back.
Well, he said that he wants Errol again. I really don't think he wants the smoke now.
I don't think he wants no more smoke because that was the best fight. That was the most underrated fight. I feel like that fight elevated Earl to the real upper echelon.
It did, yeah.
You know, because he went over there in his backyard and he got hit hard that fight, man.
He sure did.
He got hit really hard. Kell Brook hit him hard. And honestly, if Kell Brook hadn't have got his eye socket smashed by Triple G a couple months before, I think that he had work. I had said it on the podcast before. I felt like Kell Brook had work for the whole 147-pound division on that side.
He just came back way too quick after taking that punishment.
He did.
From Triple G.
I agree, yeah.
A lot of people don't even give Triple G credit for beating him like that.
Which is amazing because he got hit.
I hear a lot of people actually now like really down on Triple G.
People have been down on Triple G. It's unbelievable, right?
Yeah. And
it's unbelievable.
Generational talent.
That's boxing, though.
That's
like
boxing.
Boxing fans are the worst. They're like the most like just unsupportive, like
they're really
bandwagoning.
Yeah.
You lose a fight or you look like shit. All of a sudden, it's
you're
like
nobody. You never. Not even just you're nobody. You never were any good.
Exactly.
Like the past fights didn't count.
Right. Yeah, I remember when Triple G was like on top and everybody loved him. All of a sudden, like people are like, okay,
questioning his record,
and stuff.
Right. He fought every single body that was out there.
Everybody.
He fought every day, and he couldn't get fights.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing how he ran from everybody.
Whatever.
Wow, really?
And now everybody, I mean, Canelo still doesn't want to fight him for the third fight, but they're gonna have to wait till they're gonna have to wait till he's on the walker fully for it to happen. But whatever, it is what it is. And speaking of which, now they're saying that Canelo and Ryota's off.
Thank goodness.
I mean, I felt like that had to be from DAZN.
Right.
I can't imagine Canelo authorizing that fight because I do get the feeling I do feel like Canelo does want to fight the best.
I don't believe that anymore.
You lost it. You lost the benefit of the doubt for him.
I don't believe it anymore. I used to believe it. I don't believe it.
I still believe it. I mean, I think he cherry picked Kovalev. But besides that,
Kovalev's coming back this year
for some reason.
Cruiserweight.
Why is Kovalev coming back at all? You got your $12.5 million to let the little man beat you up. Now keep it moving. Get out of here. I don't understand why he's coming back.
Fight now.
That's the thing. He's moving up to cruiserweight,
and he just got knocked out by a middleweight.
He just got knocked out by a light middleweight, low key,
right?
Because like a junior middleweight, because Canelo really seems like his weight is more like 57, 54, like that, more so than say a solid 160. Mm-hmm. But either way it goes, now they're saying he's coming back. He's going to fight anybody up to 200 pounds, but he's going to come in at 180. Thank God for him. Alexander Usyk has moved up to heavyweight because that would be an ugly fight. Really, really ugly. I don't know what it is. Boxers are the last people to recognize when it's time to go. But they are saying that Canelo is expected now to fight Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith, which I do believe are both acceptable fights. I still personally don't understand why he just doesn't run the division at 160 if he's the baddest man at 160.
You want to fight the Charlos?
I want him just to fight one Charlo. He didn't got to fight both of them. just fight the one.
Get that smoke for one.
Just fight the one that's the champ at 160. Just fight Big Charlo.
Got his belt.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe since he still has a lot of fights left with his DAZN contract, he's just trying to get the.
Listen, it's big money.
Yeah.
If they're going to give me $40 million to go fight somebody in Japan that nobody's ever heard of, that you're going to win. Clearly, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Yeah. That's like just like how he beat up the guy for the first one. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah. Rocky Fielding.
Rocky Fielding. He beat up Rocky Fielding for the 168-pound regular belt. First and foremost, they got to get rid of some of these belts.
Got to narrow these belts.
You got to narrow these belts down, John.
Boy, Ryota had a belt.
I got a belt.
Yeah.
Calvin Klein. I'm working on the 300-pound Calvin Klein belt. I don't think anybody's going to take it from me.
I don't know.
But you know, there's so many belts. So if this is the route that he's going, I think that he would be able to silence a lot of the detractors by fighting the people with the real belts, the main belts at these divisions. I mean, you beat up Benavidez if that's what you need to do.
Right.
Beat up Billy Joe Saunders, beat up Callum Smith, beat up Charlo. If that's what it is, that's what we're here to see.
Right.
You know? And
but they put him in a situation now in a position that he can cherry pick his fights.
Yes.
And how many guys actually hungry enough to want to go out and fight against that high caliber? I can understand in the female pool because it's not that much talent, but overall with the guys, there's enough talent out there for everybody to have competitive matches. And
they sure are.
You guys just scraping the bottom of the barrel just to find somebody to get a win from it's not good for.
Well, see, but that's why I don't think it's him, because given the idea that DAZN has their format in whatever country that they're in.
Exactly.
They're working a subscription package. So if Ryota is the man in Tokyo, and just because I don't know him here, but that's going to make more people subscribe to the Zone, then I understand that logic from the Zone and from Canelo.
That play at that.
I understand that play at that point.
I think that's exactly what it is. I don't think Canelo's afraid of anybody. He's a bad man. He's only getting better every fight. He's in his prime right now. Like he's a beast right now. He's the best he's ever been. But like I said, I think it's the whole DAZN kind of trying to figure out who he should fight when. That way,
the strategic
subscribers,
component.
Where are they?
Yep.
He fights this guy in Japan. Everybody from Japan's going to subscribe.
Right. Yep.
Or,
and that's what you. And when you sign that contract, that's what you're signing up for. And you have to know that no matter. Then you got to listen to loudmouths like us talk about you fighting to nobody. You know what I mean? Which, if I had my 375, I really wouldn't care. You can say whatever you need to say.
Go out and fight somebody downstairs.
Go out and fight
what
security guard. Exactly. Give me my $40 million, punk. No, dude, you're going to prison, actually.
Can I get my belt?
He's got the Wilshire belt. Yeah, but there's a lot of interesting fights to be made. And speaking of that, did you see Bob Arum was talking about how he feels like the franchise belts are justified for Vasily Lomachenko and Canelo because of their ability to gain and lose weight and roll. Now, Vasily Lomachenko is about to have his hands full because they said that they're looking at Memorial Weekend with Teofimo Lopez. That's going to be a good fight.
Oh, that's going to be great.
He's not going to beat him. Lopez is going to beat him.
Lopez is real.
So.
Teofimo is real. But every single time that you say that, Vasily shows up with his video game.
Dude doesn't even have 20 fights.
Yeah, well, he's got 743 amateur fights to tell you different, though. But the fights he does have been championship fights. So I can't front on him, but I am happy to see him back in the mix at the highest level because that's critical. We just can't say enough about fighting the right people. And now, how do you deal with that, with where you are, with the weight that you are in women's boxing, the weight that you are?
I feel, well, as far as the competition, the skill level, the lower weight classes, which is the weight classes that I'm at, have the most talent in them. It's just being able to fight those world champions like when I want to. Like this fight, I wanted to fight a world champion for 105-pound title, so I can have a title in each weight division.
That's awesome.
That didn't happen. So I'm defending my title hopefully in May. Like it's just a lot of things as far as like with my promoter that you have to work out and stuff like that behind the scenes. But
yeah,
I mean.
And how are you dealing with it from the business component? Are you happy with? Do you feel good? I mean, I see you have a sponsorship. Speak about your sponsorship that you have, your clothing sponsorship. I see they got with the winners.
Yeah, my clothing sponsorship with Ruka. It's a great company and.
No, see, I never knew how to say it. I always thought it was RVCA.
That's why you let me say it.
I thought it was. I was about to call it.
Clothing company.
No, I was about to say RVCA. I was confident about it. I didn't know it was Ruka.
It's Ruka. So the V is actually a U. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, it's an awesome company. I met them about 5 years ago, and man, they're just good
and they
people
believe.
To work with. Yeah. I also got approached by Nike, but like Nike wasn't willing to put up the money. Like all they wanted to do is like here merchandise. What am I gonna do? How much Nike stuff can I wear?
Right.
Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah. You gotta maximize. This is one thing that I've learned in my 20 years living and working in the public eye. You have to maximize when you can. And right now you're hot. People love you. People love to watch you. And get yours. You know what I mean? Get yours. Stay focused, and obviously you are. That's why you got multiple belts that are real belts. But get yours while you can. That's how it works.
Definitely.
This is not a long-term game.
It's
you know
not,
what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely
you're not going to 20 years from now, you're not going to be boxing.
That's exactly what I say in like our negotiating with my fights and stuff and trying to get like the pay that I deserve and like equal pay is that, you know, every promoter is going to have a fighter right after the next one. There's another one, another one, another one. And
you got one
fighters
client.
Only have one career. It's
That's
like
it.
I gotta
you got one client.
Make the best decisions for myself, and as far as being paid equally and stuff like that. That's like the biggest struggle right now in the sport is just being paid equally in what I deserve.
100%. And you know, I spoke to Clarissa about that when we were down in Miami, and I think that the demand has to be made. It's 2020.
Right.
The demand has to be made for what you bring to the table.
Exactly.
Now, in every business, they're always going to try to make you believe that you're worth less than you are worth. That's just the principle of business because they want to make the most money that they can. But ultimately, the old adage is that you are worth what you accept. And it's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
You know, and it's time to prosper.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like you know, like equal pay and getting paid what you deserve isn't going to change for women's boxing for everybody because not everybody is
right. No, that's it. Not everybody's the champ.
Exactly. Not everybody is like capable of just being able to ask for that amount and stuff.
It's leverage. You have to have the leverage to make demands.
And it's about, you know,
but at least those top females who do have a following and who are very skilled and have, you know, marketing ability and stuff like that should be getting what they deserve.
Now, do they look in your contracts at all, your social media following or anything like that? Because I know they use a lot of businesses are using that as a model.
And contracts with boxing, they don't do that, but they know that matters for sure, Because I was like, I was selling. I had a big fan base and was selling a lot of tickets to my fights before I signed with Golden Boy. When I was fighting on Tom Loeffler's cards.
Yeah, that's the first time where we saw you. I think you were there at the Avalon when he was up there. I do believe when he was doing his Hollywood Fight Nights, right?
No, I didn't fight there.
I
fought at the Forum like 4 times.
Oh, that's what it was on the Superfly.
Superfly.
On the Superfly, that's where it was.
Triple G cards. So
when he broke your boy's back that time, that's where we saw you.
What?
Yeah, when Triple G broke that cat's back, and he hit that guy, he knocked him out with the body shot. Oh man, devastated.
And the whole stadium.
My goodness, my goodness, wow,
that was crazy.
It was crazy.
Willie Monroe, I think it was.
Willie Monroe, yeah.
Willie Monroe,
right.
yeah. I think that was the Monroe fight. Man, wow, yeah, that's where it was. That's where it was.
So even back then, you know, so signing with Golden Boy, like they knew I had that following in LA, and like obviously with the big promoter behind me, it would grow. You know, across the nation, hopefully across the world and stuff. So
that's it. You just have to keep pushing it.
Yeah,
that's it. One step in front of the other. Well, it's been a fantastic edition of the OZone. You have anything else you want to offer? Anything else you want to talk about with to let people know about you, where they can find you? You told them already. They can find you online. Do people come to watch you work out? How does it work?
Actually, yeah, I'm going to be having a open workout soon that I'll be announcing, and it'll also be the grand opening of our new gym. We have like a private gym. So
what city?
But in the city of Bell Gardens.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll be having an open workout, and then people can come and sign up, join the gym. So yeah.
There it is. We'll keep an eye on her on social media, on Instagram. We'll put out posts with your, you know, you can share it, people can share it, and people know where you are.
Cool.
All good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Gonna leave you with a quote from an American hero, if you will, from Franklin D. Roosevelt, folks. And it is that competition has been shown useful up to a certain point and no further. But cooperation, which is the thing we must strive for today, begins where competition leaves off. I'm your host, Omar Miller, folks. This is the OZone. Remember, we're all in this thing together, so treat each other well and as you would want to be treated. This is the OZone.
OZone.
I'm just living the